Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy, Ruther, and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Feeling good today. Pretty good. You know, you gloat when you're right. I just want to say.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what you're right about. I'm excited about this.
Well, you know,
I'm excited. I mean, I knew you were excited to don the Russell Wilson jersey after his performance, but I am. There's some sort of larger thing here.
Much larger.
I'm looking forward to it.
The Russell Wilson performance yesterday is, even though I'm rocking his Seahawks jersey, shout out to CT who sent that to me a few years ago. That's just kind of a minor sub story here.
Great.
As I sat in Paycor Stadium yesterday and I watched all the Bengals fans funnel out when Pittsburgh took a 17-point lead with, I believe, about 11:08 or something to go in the game. You know, the light bulb went off, Joe, and I thought, I said all these years they weren't going to win a playoff game with the Brown family, and I was wrong. And I damned the Brown family and said they'll never win shit. And I was like, Joe Burrow proved me wrong. But then that light bulb went off, and I go, I was wrong about the playoff wins, but you know what I wasn't wrong about? They ain't ever, and I mean ever, winning a Super Bowl as long as the Brown family owns them. And you know what? I was damn right in that. And the derangement syndrome from Bengals fans is high on a lot of them. And the chickens are coming home to roost. Where you at, Carson Palmer? Because Carson Palmer was right all along.
Well, I just want, first of all, congratulations to you, I guess, on still not seeing a Bengals win at your home stadium for the team that you root for. I don't know. Like you're down some, like you have a reverse Stockholm syndrome or whatever, where you have some edible complex where you want to kill your football team and fuck their rival or something like that. I don't know. But just a slight difference in like the, you are right. You've gone all in on the Bengals being bad, Andy.
No, I've gone all in hold on.
Can we do the Jets won't win a Super Bowl too, and just like really show our Rutherstradamus here?
Well, no, I think. Well, look, come on. I think a lot of
Bengals
people
to not win a Super Bowl.
I think a lot of people.
You're doing what I did last episode with Brandon, which is like you've been broken by how annoying the fucking fan base is and how delusional and how fucking insane and pathetic they are. But like, did anybody who wasn't the Cincinnati Bengals fans ever think the Cincinnati this was some sort of dynasty upon us?
No, I think a lot of people felt, and I was certainly one of them at a certain point, when you make a Super Bowl and then you make an AFC championship and you say, okay, I know it's not that long, but when you have a back-to-back window of, oh, wow, we have a generational quarterback, we have a generational wide receiver, at the time, a good defense, people say, oh, this is a team that compete with Kansas City, with Buffalo, and they've had great success against them head to head. So you say, okay, they can compete. I think a lot of people did. But again, as I walked out of that stadium, I wanted to take, and I didn't, but I wanted to take a video of their bubble. I mean, it's the level of embarrassment. I'll just say this much. On the way home, I was with my buddy and his wife and his dad.
And they're Bengals fans?
Yeah, I mean, my buddy, I'm not going to go into the numbers. My buddy he has club level seats that are very expensive that his company that he owns pays for. And let me put it this way, like they're probably the best. I love these seats. Our backs are to the opposing team's radio announcers right above us.
Okay.
So, I mean, so they're like prime level. On the way home, my buddy said this to me. He said, "What do you think they need to do?" And I knew this was going to trigger them, but I said, "Do you want my honest answer?" He said, "Yeah, shoot me straight." And I said, "Look, man, they're never going to win anything. And I mean anything, as in like a Super Bowl, as long as the
which is the only anything, right? Win anything
Correct.
Is the only thing. They're not going to win the thing.
Exactly. As long as the Brown family, and he's old, he's 89, but his daughter's right there and his son-in-law. My point is, as long as that lineage owns the team, they will never win a Super Bowl. My buddy got mad. His father got mad. You could tell it triggered them. And I said, "Look, guys, you asked me to shoot you straight." And they said, "That's ridiculous." I said, "Well, no, it's not. They've been around since 1968. I have enough evidence to back it up. And here's why. And I want to go back to something I said earlier, probably within the last few weeks on this show. And you and I talk about it all the time around building rosters. Before the game started, I said, if they actually are serious about winning, they trade Jamar Chase in the offseason, get as much as they can, try to really blow up the defense. And you know what my buddy said? He goes, "You're crazy." I said, "Then you don't want to win." And you know what he said? He goes, "Fans would hate that." I go, "I guess the fans don't want to win then."
Yeah. Well, listen, that's the simple reason for not doing it, that people across sports, but certainly in football, don't pull the trigger on it because, in the 80s, in the 90s, like Montana to Rice is a thing, Aikman Irvin and like all that. Offensive tackles don't sell jerseys. Who sells jerseys are your star receivers. And also having a team that was built on its offensive firepower and getting that close also gives you a taste that you're right there. What's crazy is the Bengals in the past have had those really good defenses and have competed. And now, I mean, you're simultaneously dancing on the Bengals graves while wearing your Russ jersey. The Bengals have a Big 12 level defense.
Oh,
the Bengals defense is atrocious.
Joe, I've never in person. Of course, shout out to Randy Ruther. Justin Wood was texting me during the game. I said, "Dude, this in person, I have never seen a defense look this bad."
I mean, they let Russell Wilson throw for 400 yards.
And that's kind of part of me trolling. I said that during the game. I said, of course I'm sitting with Bengals fans. I said, "Guys, Russ obviously isn't what he was." I said, "But he's a veteran quarterback." And you know what he was doing? "Oh, you're going to leave a guy wide open in the middle and I can dump it off for 5 to 8 yards. And then he's going to get another 10 yards after the catch." He must have done that 6 times in the first half. He's not stupid. "Oh, you're going to cover the deep ball?" Okay. They made Russell Wilson, for obviously all the discussions we have, I know what Russell Wilson isn't. He's not a 400-yard guy. They made Russell Wilson look like Brady in his prime.
Well,
That's how bad this D is.
They said it's like Russell Wilson's like biggest passing first half like ever by a landslide. Because and we can, I don't even know if we're gonna get into Russ. We can, whatever. But Russell Wilson is a 38-yard first half guy. That's who Russell Wilson has been throughout his career.
He's not 260 yards.
Yeah. Now Russell Wilson has had some late game heroics and all the different things, but like the amount of times that the Seahawks and the Broncos and even the Steelers team somehow have 5 points in the first half, with Russ being 6 for 14 for 38 yards. If I could have a free beer for every time he had something close to that stat line in his career, I'd be 400 pounds. But the Bengals defense is atrocious. And when you have the quarterback that you have, which again, we have not gotten to see exactly what Joe Burrow is, because they've only given him all the weapons. And as they've had to throw money at that, like people are like, oh, T. Higgins is franchised. It's like in the seat. Like, I understand that you haven't paid him the money, but as far as your cap goes in this season, T. Higgins is a top 5 paid receiver. That's how giving somebody the franchise tag works. So in regards to the cap in 2024, he may as well be. You may as well have given him, there's strategizing for down the line, but even in the now, like you have a top 5 paid receiver on your roster, and you need a defense. This league, you have. What's so amazing about the Bengals is I think we both agree that they have the kind of quarterback where you don't need to do that. And yet they insist on doing that because they're dumb and their approach to team building is antiquated, and somebody needs to hoist up the fraudulent head coach who's a quote unquote offensive guy, and they're trying to sell jerseys, and they're the Bengals. Stars don't come to the Bengals. So if you're the Bengals owner, you're afraid of stars leaving the Bengals.
But it's like you always say, Joe, on our show. And that's what I tried to say to my buddy before the game when he goes, oh, if they trade Chase, the fans. I looked at my buddy. I go, dude, it's the NFL. It doesn't matter whether Jamar Chase is their stud quarterback or some no-name guy. This stadium is going to be packed. It's right. Cincinnati, Ohio. There's not much to do here. It's Cincinnati, Ohio. Just like Buffalo, or just pick any city. The stadium is going to be packed. And that's why I said then you don't care about winning.
Right. And did you say to him, when you say Buffalo, like Buffalo, it's going to be packed, did you say Buffalo fans don't seem to care that they got rid of Stephon Diggs?
Yeah. But people don't see that. They don't. I mean, look, it's kind of bring it outside the Bengals. The 2 highest paid QBs this year are Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott as far as this year, who also have receivers that were paid. You just mentioned T. We obviously know what'll probably happen with Jamar Chase. They have CeeDee Lamb. Well, those 2 teams with that offensive firepower, they play next week. And guess what? Neither have a winning record. It's
or a chance to fix their record.
Exactly. And it's literally right there is my point. It's those 2 teams. It's perfect that they're playing each other in December, because they're playing a meaningless game on Monday Night Football next week. Because that's not how you build a roster. Watching the Bills last night, that's exactly what you do.
I've taken shit on this show, and we have a bunch of fans from upstate Western New York or whatever that are like, why do you hate the Bills? And I've said for the last 4-5 seasons, I'm like, I don't hate the Bills, I just don't believe in the Bills, because the Bills don't believe in the Bills. The Bills think that what they are away is Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen's not going to get it done with Cole Beasley and a bunch of no-namers. They need Stephon Diggs. And I'm like, what you need is to play defense in the snow. And this year, I'm like, I'm on the Bills. They figured it out. They have a guy who can get them there. They have a quarterback who's talented enough. Focus on running the football, playing defense, and then when push comes to shove, handing the ball over to your quarterback and going, go win us this game.
It's really not rocket science. I mean, that's what's so amazing with these squads. You have to have a defense in the modern game. This isn't the Rams with Mike Martz as the offensive coordinator, then the head coach, the greatest show on turf with Marshall Faulk and Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner. That's not the current modern era of the NFL. This isn't Peyton Manning with
that. By the way, set every offensive record. Won one Super Bowl barely, and lost to a team with the ultimate game manager and a defense.
Which is very fitting. That's a good point. They were almost 2 touchdown favorites, and they lost.
And they're like, you can't be 2 touchdown favorites if we don't let you score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and realistically, not much. And that's damn near 25 years ago. Nothing has changed. You know, as we go around the league, it was interesting. You know, we're having this conversation. I'm at the game, and I'm sitting with some of my buddies' coworkers. And you know what the one guy says to me? He goes, of all the years that the Bengals would do this, he goes, this is the worst Chiefs team. I said, what are you talking about? So they've lost 1 game. He goes, this is a bad Chiefs team. I said, see, therein lies the problem. He goes, dude, they're barely winning games. I said, do you think, I said this to him. I said, they've lost 1 game. They lost 6 games last year in the regular season. Do you think this
isn't it amazing? But before you continue, isn't it amazing how delusional fans are? If you're the Vikings 2 years ago, remember the delusional Vikings fans? They're finding ways to win. When everybody wants some team to be something it's not, they're finding ways to win. When everybody wants a team to be something they're not the other way, they're barely winning games.
100%. So
we needed a fumble in Buffalo to win, but we overcame being down late in the game. And with the Chiefs, it's like they barely win. They need the league. They need the league to help them.
But that's my point, is that he said he goes, this team's worse than last year's team. And I said, they got 5 games left. They've already won as many games. And I said, they're still projected, at least statistically, based on how things will play out, to be the number 1 seed. I said, last year they had to win at Buffalo in January and at Baltimore. I said, this year everything would have to go through Arrowhead. I go, you really think they're worse? It's crazy for me when I hear that, and I just say, they've lost 1 game.
Not to mention last year, remember the whole thing was none of these receivers, he has no receivers, all the drops, all the things. And by the end of the year, those receivers stepped up, because it's almost like coming into the league, having no experience, playing with a quarterback for the first time. It takes a minute. While they're still winning games, while he still had his safety blanket in Kelsey, all that stuff. But like, you look at a guy like Worthy, how many huge moments has he had this year right out of the gate?
Yeah.
I'm not talking, this isn't Rashee Rice last year, where by the end of the season, he found something. Like, there's also the fact of, dude, the Chiefs know they're going to be in a Super Bowl, essentially. They know they're at least going to have a very obvious path to the Super Bowl come playoff time. You look at all those years with Belichick, he's not showing us everything, Jim. He's holding a couple things back. This isn't, the Chiefs are not the fucking Lions, where it's like, let's show everybody how bad we can beat every team. Let's put up a billboard saying, We have the number one ESPN power ranking for 5 straight weeks. Look at how good we are. The Chiefs are like, we don't give up. Like, the Chiefs honestly want nothing more than you to think that they're worse than the team they were last year.
Yeah.
They have you right where they want you then.
100%. And that's why even last night, when I watched the Bills, and I know they're playing great, and they're just kicking the shit out of the Niners, and I thought the Niners would give them a game, and I picked the Niners to cover the spread. Even then, I said, don't be fooled. Again, I like the Bills, and I picked the Bills. How many years in a row did I pick the Bills to go to the Super Bowl? But I'm just saying, okay, playoffs is a different animal, right? It's the same with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is amazing in the regular season. Playoffs is a different animal. It just is. I do want to play a quick call. I referenced Justin. He was venting. I'll play it. He's venting about me, so I'll just get this out of the way. He was not happy, blaming the Ruther Curse on yesterday.
Well, Andy, did you enjoy the Bengals game? Did you enjoy that fucking game? Why did you go? You know what happens when you go to Bengals games. And that's what you did. You did that. That was you. That was the Ruther Curse production today. That was, but also I do have to, now that I'm on Bleacher Report and stuff, I have integrity, and I have to let you know that I fell for a bum article, and George Pickens is not Carl Pickens' son. So there's a lot of people I need to tell that to, because I have told everyone that thinking that I knew something, and come to find out I just been, it's kind of like Marilyn Manson sucking his own dick. Like, just, I went with it. So, all right. Well, see ya.
Well, I'm glad that you clarified that, because you know what? I even said that at the game yesterday. I go, he's Carl Pickens' kid. And everybody in my section was like, oh, really? I go, yeah. Isn't that crazy? So
it turns out, and when he said that, a couple episodes, when you passed that along to me, I ended up being like, is he? And I looked it up, and it turns out he's not, but he is rodeo performer and actor Slim Pickens' son. So that's crazy. I didn't know that.
George Pickens, I've never seen a guy get 2 taunting penalties. Like, that guy, he's a clown show to watch live. And I was like, I was, one of the Steelers fans said to me, he goes, I go, dude, what are you guys gonna do with this guy? He goes, well, man, he just caught a 45-yard pass, and then he gave it 15. He goes, I look at it, it's plus 30 for us. I was like, okay, well, you can't keep doing that.
What are the Steelers fans going to do with him? Well, they're going to justify it with things like that till he does it in a playoff game. It costs him the game. And then what are they going to do? They're going to burn a cross on his lawn. Yins, guys, we need to go to George Pickens' house and burn a cross on his lawn.
I'll say this for you, Justin. I read a really interesting. Again, it
grab your away jerseys, if you know what I mean.
I read an interesting editorial here in Cincinnati, and it's nothing new. And the headline said the Bengals lost 27-6 to the Steelers. And I thought, what? No, it wasn't. It was a high-scoring game. But the reason for the article was the Steelers have 27 scouts. The Bengals have 6. And his point, it was actually a very well-written article. And the point goes back to what I said earlier in the show. And it said, you guys can bitch. And this even goes for me. He goes, you guys can bitch about Zach Taylor. You can bitch about Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator. You can bitch about all this stuff. But he goes, until they have the same scouts as most NFL teams, you will never win anything.
Well, listen, as a Bengals fan, which you are, deep under your Russell Wilson jersey, I I think that you got to have a little hope because they're probably not selling the team anytime soon. They love that. You got to have a little hope that he dies and the next generation is different. You got to have a little hope. It is possible.
I mean, the Lions seem that they seem
Possible.
to maybe have changed.
Listen,
things.
I'm a Giants fan. Our next generation's been different.
True.
Not in the way you guys are hoping for it, but
no, that's true. My takeaway
Wellington
about
was never kicking me out of the box for my beer consumption. You know, I'm just saying.
well, my takeaway from yesterday, just as a football fan, was this: the Bengals, like you said, have a Big 12 defense. But I want to talk about the Steelers for a second. As much as I'm trolling wearing a Russell Wilson jersey right now, my takeaway isn't like, oh, Russ is taking him to the Super Bowl, because I know he was playing against a terrible defense. My takeaway more is, oh, the Steelers give up 38 points still.
Mm.
And my takeaway is, I'm not putting you guys there. I'm not putting you with the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, the defense did get 2 turnovers, including a strip sack, which was returned for a touchdown. But I mean, you'd probably agree with me. My thing is, let me put it this way: when the Bengals went down 17 points with 11 minutes to go, half that stadium emptied out. I literally looked at our section and I go, "This will come down to 1 possession game." And they go, "You're crazy." I go, "No, the Bengals are going to score a couple." And sure enough, it came right. In a way, it came down to the end. But my point is that defense.
Absolutely, it's that. I agree with you 100%. It's like the defense showed their true colors more yesterday than the offense did.
100%. 100% they did. And you and I both know traditional Steelers teams, when you go up 17 in the fourth quarter, you're not letting them come back and score a couple touchdowns, even in quote unquote garbage time. But they did. And
I said last night, I was on Tyler Dunn from Go Long, who's got a great Substack. He did a live last night, and I was in the comments, and they were just talking about it's the Bills and the Chiefs, and who's after that. And I said, I'll be honest, I believe in the Chargers more than I believe in the Steelers
because of their defense.
Because they're again,
quarterback
defense, and you can listen. Tomlin has now guaranteed himself a winning record. We all saw the headlines yesterday. 18 seasons. No, do I think that Mike Tomlin should have a statue? Do I think Mike Tomlin is one of the great coaches in NFL history? No, I don't. But at the same time, you do have to appreciate that. He's never had a losing record. Okay. You want to call it a coin toss between Harbaugh and Tomlin? Okay, I'll go, okay, listen, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. But you want to call it a coin toss between their defenses? But I'll take their quarterback. Now, there's definitely a home field advantage for the Steelers. There's definitely an outdoor element for the Steelers come playoff time. But again, now how many levels of the playoffs could the Steelers even potentially have home field for? Probably one at best.
Yeah, most likely.
Unless something breaks their way. And so with the Chargers, it's like, oh, they won't have home field advantage even if they're home. It's like, okay. And by the way, I don't believe in either team to win the Super Bowl. But I would be more afraid to play the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers are that team this year. Like, they're not ready to win the Super Bowl yet. But they are ready to sneaky beat a team in the playoffs that fucks up the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I probably tend to agree with you on that. I mean, if you look right now at the current standings, I mean, look at round one, Joe. It would be Chargers at Texans in a first round playoff game.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a very winnable game. And then let's say the Chargers upset the Texans. Then they go to Kansas City, and you've said it, and it's true. The possibility of trying to beat a division rival 3 times. Now they play this week in Kansas City. So if obviously the Chiefs will be favorites, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's just not easy. Can we talk about the Trevor Lawrence hit? Sure. So obviously this kind of took all the headlines yesterday. I got a few different clips of it. So this was just
no doubt that
kind of the the one that we're showing during the game, and then all hell breaks loose. This is the slow-mo version. I probably have an unpopular take. Everyone keeps saying how dirty it is. Here's all I'm going to say. Especially after being at a game a lot. Dude, these things happen so quick. And I don't know if this is a terrible take. I just think if you watch the slow-mo version, okay, if you watch this, he's sliding. I mean, his head just is what hits the ground, right? He hits him in the shoulder.
He hits him in the shoulder?
Where's he hit him? In his neck?
Neck, face. But here, I guess here's my criticism with the slide happens too late. He doesn't hit so. Let's say he was trying to hit him. Let's say Trevor Lawrence doesn't slide, right? Let's say right there. Okay, he's already sliding. This guy's arms aren't up. This guy's not lunging toward him. Okay, so everybody who says this happens too fast or it's happening too late. So Trevor Lawrence starts to slide there, continues to slide to where the contact happens, and this guy's able to deliver a hit to his shoulders or his neck. So he doesn't hit him above the head because he was trying to go for his sternum and Trevor Lawrence slid. And he doesn't get him super low because it's dude, it happens so fast, but you're able to dive. He's diving down. He knows he's hitting a guy who's sliding. That's my thing.
Okay.
The idea that he slid late. Well, if he slid so fucking late, how come this guy delivered a perfect hit on a dude who was sliding? It wasn't high. It wasn't low. It wasn't fuck. Oh my God, he slid at the end. It's the perfect hit. If you were hey, hit this midget. That's a perfect hit. You're damn, man, that is a textbook tackle on a guy who's 2.5 feet tall. Why is when these hits are on guys who are halfway down are delivered perfectly with an elbow to the upper chest, neck, face area? It's yeah, it all happens fast, but he nailed a hit on a sliding guy. Perfect. Just chef's kiss if you're trying to hit a guy before he in the face as he's sliding.
And look, Al-Shaair, he has a history.
In my opinion, it's dirty as fuck.
You think it's dirty as fuck?
Not only do I think it's dirty as fuck, I think the NFL has an immense problem with offsetting penalties. It's the easiest call of all time. I'm going to murder their quarterback, and then they're going to fight me over it, and we won't even lose yardage.
So I guess, and I'm open to that. Obviously, I was at a game yesterday, so I wasn't in front of my phone watching this hit. And it's good that we're kind of breaking this down because I haven't done that yet. I guess my question to you is, you see guys fake slide now, and you've seen especially Patrick Mahomes. I'm just kind of throwing all this stuff out there. You see Patrick Mahomes fake slide, and you also see guys, and we've seen it, scared to hit quarterbacks. I guess what I'm saying is I think there's a problem in general of the slide hitting the quarterback. when do you hit the quarterback? How do you hit? And this could be completely different than what I'm talking about. But I just think we've entered this gray area of the slide. And again, with guys fake sliding, and things do happen, boom, boom, boom. It's
Sure.
like, it's so quick.
But here's my thing as do I give a fuck about the Texans or the Jags? I do not. I literally could not care less about the Texans and the Jaguars. I couldn't care less about Trevor Lawrence. I couldn't care less about fucking the other dude. Like, I don't care. So from a completely unbiased standpoint, if you were like, hey, Joe, you work in the commissioner's office. We need to talk about this. We have a problem with slides and this stuff happens. I go, okay. If you're all bringing this to me, if there's this popular opinion, this majority opinion, if 10 owners even, you don't even need a majority. I just need a large number of owners to come to me and say, there's an issue with slides. I go, well, we all agree we have to protect our quarterbacks, right? Because we're all in this. I don't actually, you guys are just a collection of owners. You're all paying your quarterback $75 million. No one wants to see Mac Jones. Literally the whole world turned it off. We're not going to change the defense's ability to hit guys after they've given themselves up. I'm not going to do that. So if you're all coming to me and saying this, then I guess we have to adjust whether or not guys can fake slides. But if you're here to complain that guys should not be fined or ejected or penalized for hitting quarterbacks after they give themselves up, you can leave now. You may exit my waiting room. Everybody who wants to come in and help me sort out what we're going to do about fake slides, you can come in. We're going to have an open and honest discussion. But if you're here to say, I think quarterbacks should be able to be hit more, you're going to leave. Oh, Joe, you grew up in the 80s. You watched the game. Cool. Great story, man. Here to play counterpoint to your argument is Jim McMahon. He's in the corner eating pudding, making finger paints.
So what should be the penalty for somebody like on Alshire, like this hit?
I think here's the thing. Anything that happens in retaliation, anything that's an ejectable offense can't be offset. Like it's crazy to me that in the world where we had Bountygate and we have all this and the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not even sniffing one is if your starting quarterback goes out, that you can have an offset penalty for trying to murder someone. They're like, your defender tried to murder their other team's premier player. Then one of their guys got angry about it. Those penalties will offset. Repeat first down from the spot of the ball. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Anything that happens in retaliation, you want to say 15 yards plus the fine, plus the whatever. And now the two guys who got caught in a face masking, those offset. Okay. And the idea of offsetting penalties in general is stupid. So a guy gets pass interference, like the whole play goes down and there's pass interference and whatever. And now a random guy on the other side of the ball who is downfield, illegal man downfield, that's offsetting to this penalty. It's like half the time the offsetting penalties are ridiculous, but certainly in a situation where you can't make a defense say, we're not even going to lose yardage. So just try to fucking kill him. Because has there ever been a history? Even Russ isn't unlikable enough. Even Jameis isn't unlikable enough. No one's unlikable enough that if somebody tries to kill them, their offensive line isn't retaliating. So it's just a bad system.
Yeah, I'll be curious how they do suspensions with him. Because if there's no precedent, the guys will just keep doing stuff. That's the problem. For as great as a game I think the NFL is, they have a lot of things they need to clean up like this. They need to clean up things that don't make sense, like the end of that Raiders game. I know everybody says, oh, it was to favor the Chiefs, but it's just bizarre. They have a meeting. They change the way the penalty is. The game essentially ends. It's just, let me put it this way. So during yesterday's game, the Steelers clear in a pivotal moment of the game, truthfully, clearly went offsides. Clearly went over the ball before it snapped. The Bengals O-line jumps. They show it on the big screen. They call false start in the Bengals. And I was saying, watching the game, I go, you can't mess this call up. Why can't?
Well, how about in the Eagles game, on every scoring play is reviewed, the Eagles false start. The Eagles false start, every play is reviewed.
Yeah, that was true.
Oh, we can't review false starts. Well, you're actually reviewing the play anyway. So what are we talking about?
Well, and that's a good point. That happened too. And when I was watching the game, I said, why can't New York hop in and say, okay, the Steelers are offsides? So it's not like what I don't understand about the NFL is they say, oh, New York hopped in. How does New York decide when and when not to hop in?
Right.
Like in that Eagles game, that's a prime example. Okay, they false start. He fumbles the ball. He picks it up. He goes in the end zone. Why don't they hop in there? No, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think it's rigged necessarily. I just think it's ineptitude.
Yeah. And also, when you want to go back to the Chiefs thing, and I guess I'll never really understand the hatred of the Chiefs.
Because they're winners.
Because they're winners. That's a lame reason to hate people. The people hated the Patriots because their fans are all from Boston and they regularly cheated.
Well, and they won.
Right. That goes without saying. But all you need to do is snap the ball. You can snap the ball and take a knee. You have a chance to win the game. You could snap the ball and run one more play. You have a chance to win the game. You're in shotgun. And your quarterback and your center snaps the ball early. And the NFL is rigged against you? They didn't. Now, I will believe that the NFL has rigged the game for the Chiefs if Antonio Pierce tells me that in their headset, they heard the voice of Roger Goodell who said, you must not put your quarterback under center on the most important snap of the game. If you do, you will be fired. And he's like, how did you get into my headset? Your shithead coach or offensive coordinator on a play where, let me ask you something, Andy. In victory formation, how many teams are shotgun kneeling?
Well, never.
Right, never. Because it would give you an opportunity for you to fuck up the snap at a much higher clip than if you were under center. Your center snapped the ball technically we should have been saved by this other penalty. Okay. You shoulda, woulda, coulda. You're not in this position if you don't snap the ball early in the shotgun. I drove my car into a tree and the airbag didn't go off and I broke my neck. It's all the airbag's fault. Hold on. First, you drove your car into a fucking tree, dude. Yeah, you could bitch and complain and sue the manufacturer, but like, you're not hurt because the airbag didn't go off. You're hurt. Your airbag wouldn't have gone off if you were just driving down the fucking highway. But first, you drove into a fucking tree. In that, all you needed to do was snap the ball. You really didn't even need to do that. You could have just kicked a field goal right then and there, which, by the way, is something that stopped happening about 7 seasons ago that I don't understand. Remember back in the day when teams would kick on 3rd down because they were like, well, if the snap goes wrong, we dive on it and then we kick on 4th down. No one does that anymore.
Well, I think in that game they were trying to get more yards.
I know they were trying to get more yards
because
they didn't need more yards, right?
Well, well, here's the thing. I think it was at the 40. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the ball was around the 40-yard line. Carson, their kicker, had already missed from that range. I get that they wanted to get some more yards.
I'm not against them getting more yards. You have to get it safely.
Yeah. Well, and what does this go back to? Coaching matters.
Yeah.
Coaching, like it's not. And here's the thing: good teams win, good teams close. What is the stat I saw? It's not a coincidence. The Chiefs are 14-0 in their last 1-score games. Guess what the Bengals are? 5-9. That's not a coincidence. Coaching, like you're saying, kicking on 3rd versus 4th, calling a run play, going in shotgun, all these things matter. Coaching matters. Clock management matters. In-game decisions, those little small things matter. And to me, that's what separates the good from the great coaches, or the mediocre from the good coaches. And that's my thing about the Chiefs too. It's oh, they're not as good, and they're freaking these wins. They're finding a way to freak into these wins in the NFL. And I'm just like, do they got the best quarterback? They got arguably the best coach in that conference.
They have maybe the first guy ever who's going to go to the Hall of Fame as just a coordinator.
I was just going to say, they got the best defensive coordinator of all time, and they have a defense. This is not. So they're 11-1. I believe that Steelers team a few years ago started 11-1. This is not that Steelers team that started 11-1. It's just not. So let's pivot to the Eagles. You talked about the Eagles. Bro, they're winning again on the road. Their defense looks good. Every week I become more of an Eagles believer. Every week. I have them right there in the NFC.
Okay, you have them right there in the NFC. But
it goes Lions,
yep,
Packers, and Eagles. Like in the Packers and Eagles, I'm not saying I prefer the Packers. I'm just saying that's right where I have them.
List me the teams that you think have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than the Eagles. Where do you have Andy Ruther's Super Bowl power rankings?
Super Bowl power rankings?
Super Bowl power rankings. Now, listen, you could, if you want to start with NFC power rankings, I'm sure Eagles fans will jack off into their wah-wah hoagies. No one loves winning the NFC and losing in the NFC championship game or losing in the Super Bowl more than the fucking fraudulent fan base that is Philadelphia. That's a win for them. Deep playoff runs. I mean, they're still. They had a parade for the Philadelphia Phillies losing in the World Series. Like, they can't wait to have a fucking parade because but now for everybody who doesn't eat at gas stations in the NFL, the goal is a Super Bowl.
So I would basically put the Lions and then I put the Packers and Eagles together.
Okay.
So I have those 3 teams.
Okay. In the NFC. So you have the Lions one in the NFC. So you have the Lions. You give the Lions a better chance of winning the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Correct. Then those.
Who do you have as a better chance to win the Super Bowl than them from the AFC?
Chiefs, Bills. Probably Chiefs and Bills.
You have the Steelers ahead of them. You have the.
No.
Okay.
I don't have the Steelers. I don't have the Ravens. Neither team's defenses I trust. Chargers, I agree with you. I think they're a sneaky, interesting team. They're not there yet. So I have three teams for sure ahead of them.
You know what's
Chiefs,
funny
Bills, and
is
Lions.
what's funny is I watched the game. Was I rooting for the Ravens yesterday? Yeah, of course. I root against the Eagles, but like the game was on. It's the 125. It's the national televised game. It's on CBS. I'm watching the game. I have a rooting interest in every game. Again, almost without fail, unless it's, Texans, Jaguars. And like in my soul, not who I picked in the game, like who I'm rooting for. Like in the Bengals game yesterday, I don't know who I picked or what, like our pick 'em aside, the pick 'em league I'm in, the confidence pool I'm in. I'll leave all that. Like I always defer when I'm watching the game to like what I'm rooting for. Yeah, I'm rooting for the Bengals because they're playing Russ and you're there and you've never seen it. It's like, cool. I have a rooting interest. Do I care about that game at all? No, I don't, but I have a rooting interest. Do I care? Was I rooting for the Ravens because I hate the entire state of Pennsylvania and I want every Philly fan to choke on their gas station hot dog? Yes, I was. But in watching the game, my takeaway as a guy who like also analyzes these games was way more about the Ravens. I feel like I learned something more about not learned something, but was solidify my opinion on something about the Ravens more so than I took something away from the Eagles. And my big takeaway from that game was we have now entered a weird space for the Ravens. It almost feels like Harbaugh knows that they can't win a Super Bowl unless Lamar Jackson can drive the ball down the field passing. A couple weeks ago, they had the big play. They called a quarterback sweep. They called a quarterback power for a 2-point conversion to try to win the game. Yesterday, Lamar Jackson just didn't run the ball. No designed runs for Lamar Jackson. 2 designed runs for Lamar Jackson. Like we're just the RPO with Derrick Henry's out the window, and now listen. John Harbaugh is right. That is not a strategy to win the Super Bowl. If you need your quarterback to run, you cannot win the Super Bowl. But here's the catch-22. If you're the Ravens, you're only winning if Lamar Jackson runs. So now we're at a situation where it's like, oh, maybe he can be the guy we need. He can't. He cannot. He can absolutely not. I've never wavered on it, not for one fucking second. Lamar Jackson cannot win as a passer. He cannot. To me, it was insane that this was the game that you're going to go, here, take the ball, drive us down the field. Run the ball, dude. Run the ball.
So I'm pulling up. So he's on pace for about as many as last year. He's rushed 111 times this year. So he's averaging about 8.5 rushes a game. They definitely seem like they're doing less runs for sure.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And you'll like, I believe in Russell Wilson with the Steelers more than I believe in Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, because the one thing that you got to give Pete Carroll credit for and now Mike Tomlin for credit for is they weren't like, we need him to run the ball. In fact, they go with Fields when they need that play to happen.
Which, by the way, the whole stadium knows he's running the ball.
Yeah.
I was cracking up.
Yeah. You've made this bed. Now you need to sleep in this bed. You paid Lamar Jackson. You're accepting the MVPs for Lamar Jackson. You've built your team around Lamar Jackson. You got Derrick Henry to complement Lamar Jackson. Turning Lamar Jackson into Joe Burrow now won't happen, can't happen, could never happen. You're in that game and you're going down and your drives are stalling and your kicker is missing because your quarterback is straight up not a good passer. He's not a good passer. So, and it's not Cam Newton-esque, but it's similar in that when you need a big play, he misses them by 14 yards.
Yeah, Lamar's had a great year. Lamar's interesting this year. He's had a great year. He's on pace to have the most touchdowns he's ever thrown. He's got a great touchdown to interception ratio. He's averaging 8.7 yards per pass, which is extreme, like the highest by far in his career. Like I see your points. Here's my thing about Lamar.
My point is,
what I was going to say
the goal is not to win an MVP and set the yards per attempt record. It's to win the Super Bowl.
No, I get. I guess my point, what I was going to say was, I feel like when Lamar's on, he's on, but when he's off, like I agree with you. When he's off on a throw, he's not like, oh, he's a little off, the receiver can make the play. He just airmails it. Look, they're at that 6th year now. That stat just rings in my head all the time now. That no player has won a Super Bowl after his first 5 years with a coach who didn't win one within the first 5 years. That's what's interesting. Lamar's in his 6th year with Harbaugh, and Josh Allen is in his 6th year with McDermott. Like, those two, can they buck the trend of that stat? Kind of like how Patrick Mahomes was the first QB 2 years ago to ever lead the league in passing yards and also win a Super Bowl. It had never happened before. I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't believe in them either. To me, like I said, I think it's a 5-team race to win the Super Bowl. Those are my teams right now. Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Packers, Eagles. To me, the big question on both, actually, the whole NFC, all three of those teams, the question mark goes across the board, and it's this one thing: turnovers. Can Goff avoid just like a shitty turnover? Same thing for Jalen Hurts. Same thing for Jordan Love. Those are all three QBs where I'm like, are you going to throw a bad pick? Or are you going to fumble the ball?
See, the thing with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, and I think Sirianni's a fucking clown of a coach, but when you look at what the Eagles do, they do what they approach offense the way the Ravens should approach offense, which is, we don't trust Jalen Hurts at all. Jalen Hurts is to throw the ball to wide open guys, chuck fade patterns, hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, and get butt fucked across 1 yard gains.
Do you think Justin Tucker's struggles, and right, this is the worst he's ever been, and you look at a game like yesterday, or you look at that Steelers game where you're like, man, you can flip these games and it's a whole different season. Do you think the Justin Tucker struggles now exposes Lamar even more?
Well, what it exposes, here's the thing with yesterday. What was the final score of the game? It was they lost by 9 or something like that, or it was they
lost. What was the final score? Let me pull it up. They lost by 5, man.
Okay, they lost by 5.
24-19.
Listen, he
missed an extra point in what, 3 field goals?
2 field goals? or 3.
At least 2.
2 for sure. Now listen, there was a point yesterday where somebody even said it, I think, on the broadcast.
Yeah, he missed 2 field goals.
Where it's like, this is a different game. Just like they could be up.
Romo said that specifically.
Yeah, essentially, like they'd be winning this game right now if Justin Tucker hit field goals.
Yeah.
To which I would say the simple math of with 7 more points, they're winning the game isn't even really the issue. The issue was Jalen Hurts, shocker, if you ask me. I know the whole world wants to believe in Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, early in the game, when he's getting the ball deep in his own territory, looks atrocious. Suddenly, when they're operating their offense at freebie at midfield because Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can't get out of their own end zone, and then on multiple late game possessions, the Ravens are giving them the ball at their own 45 because they've missed a longish field goal. Now we're free to do all these other things, which essentially is get carried by Saquon Barkley. It wasn't even about the points. It's about the field position. Justin Tucker used to be automatic, like go for it or punt it, but don't give them the ball
at their 40
great field position.
Yeah.
Momentum, what the Eagles can do offensively, the decisions they can make. When you're backed up to your own end zone, we're gonna fake a handoff to Saquon Barkley, then we're gonna roll out to the right, and if Dallas Goedert's not wide open in the flat, lay down. Literally lay on the ground. You can't do that from your own end zone, but you can do that from your own 45 all fucking day.
True. It was the game was definitely crazy because the Eagles looked terrible in the first quarter. Then they looked good in the second quarter. Then they looked bad in the third quarter. And then they looked good in the fourth quarter. Okay, so you asked me, I'm going to ask you. Do your Super Bowl contenders, or in order, or your power rankings, whatever you want to call it. And you don't have to do it, you can do each conference like I did, and then you can do overall.
The Chiefs are 1.
Sure.
They have the best coach, probably, or he's right there. He's one of the best coaches. They very clearly have the best quarterback. They figured out how to play defense the last few years. They have done what other teams are afraid to do. They let Tyreek Hill go. They let the weapons go. They spend the money on protecting Patrick Mahomes. They spend the money on playing defense. Patrick Mahomes stats suffer. He's not setting all-time records for offense thing, but their goal is to win the Super Bowl. Chiefs 1. Bills 2. Bills, sick of losing to the Chiefs, are like, hey, I know it's 5 years late. I know we're now at year 6 of McDermott and Josh Allen, but should we just steal the Chiefs model? Okay. Good coach. Suspect a little bit. Great quarterback. Little turnover prone. Not this year, but the question is that going to manifest in the playoffs? This is where you get to the situation. Like, I'll say this. I don't trust your boy Russ, but Russ has always been good if the defense can't play like it plays yesterday. So I can't put the Steelers up there. And I believe in the Chargers' ability to beat anyone, but I think it's too soon for them to be contenders. Legit contenders. Like, they could beat anybody. They could win 2 playoff games or 3 playoff games, but I just don't see the Chargers winning 4 playoff games. And that's kind of in essence, the issue, which is like, to me, a contender is somebody that has to win 4 playoff games. So then we swap over to the NFC. I think that the Lions are better than the Eagles, but have the same issue that the Eagles have. They also need to play a type of game that doesn't allow their quarterback, like where you don't need or want Jared Goff to do Patrick Mahomes things or Matt Stafford things or Joe Burrow things, or those, hey, here's the game, it's in your hands. You don't want to be in that position. But I think from a talent standpoint, and the Lions, have taken some hits health-wise, but from a talent standpoint, they're more suited to do that than the Eagles. So I like them above the Eagles. Same as you. Packers, Eagles. Well, we beat them. If you're an Eagles fan, we beat them week 1. We have a better record. Here's the thing about Jordan Love in comparison to both Goff and Jalen Hurts.
Higher ceiling?
Not higher ceiling, but like, and it's 6 a.m. here. I don't know what time it is everywhere else, but grab your beers. You look at a guy like Eli Manning, right? Turnover prone quarterback. But he was a guy who had to make plays for his team. And in essence, then has to turn the ball over at a higher clip. I like Jordan Love's potential of having the 12 touchdown, 2 turnover run to a Super Bowl more than I like Jared Goff getting the ball down 5 with 58 seconds left, putting together a mistake-free drive and going down to win it. Like, I think that you can shift your mentality and play a different kind of game come playoffs than become a better quarterback. So I think that the Eagles and the Lions are more talented than the Packers, but not a quarterback. And I don't think it's close. So those are my 3 NFC teams. But the reason I like the Packers as a sneaky team is because of that. Jalen Hurts is down on the road in Detroit in an NFC championship game? No, I do not believe.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Now, if Jalen Hurts happens to be up in Detroit and can 5-minute drill Saquon Barkley, sure. Because I don't believe in Jared Goff to drive down. But like, coach, quarterback, defense. I like the Chiefs coach more. I like Chiefs, Packers, Bills, Lions, Eagles in order of coaches. I like Chiefs, Bills, Packers, tie Eagles and Lions in terms of quarterbacks. And I guess I like defensively, hard to say. Maybe Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, Packers, Bills. Chiefs, Eagles, Lions, Packers, Bills, something like that. And by the way, by the way, when I say I like the Chiefs defense the most, it's because I like their ability to scheme each and every week in the playoffs with the guy they have, not because they have the most talented defense by any means.
Yeah. I tend to agree. Will you be watching the Hard Knocks AFC North in season debuts tomorrow?
No.
You will not.
No. I don't have time nor care. Like, no. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They've oversaturated Hard Knocks. I don't need in season. I don't need off season.
I'll watch for sure.
I didn't watch the Giants off-season Hard Knocks all the way through.
Well, I'm curious. Also, they've never done a whole division. Get ready for Jameis. Dude, can you imagine how obnoxious he's going to be with the cameras, knowing it's going to be on? Who's going to be here's the question. Who's going to be more cringe on Hard Knocks, Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston, no doubt about it, because Jameis Winston is equal parts delusional and retarded. Russell Wilson is cringe as fuck, but has to have heard about it at this point. It feels like he pushed through. It was like his team didn't say anything. His like personal surrounding team didn't say anything, but the internet spoke. The internet was like, "You're a fucking dork, dude," and he heard about it.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston is hearing the internet. Jameis Winston is like the Trump of quarterbacks. Jameis Winston goes out there, regularly embarrasses himself, and 50% of the NFL watching population is like, "We love this guy. He speaks my language." No one's being like, "You're 1,000% cringe. Everything you do is clown shoes garbage." He's like, people love it. He's been emboldened by the internet.
Well, I'm curious from just even a like logistical standpoint. Again, how are you going to do 4 teams in an hour? You just divvying up 15 minutes each. Even just how they produce the show, how it's direct. You see, like, I'm actually curious from like, oh, do they start with Cleveland and then they bounce to Pittsburgh and then they come back? Or I'm just curious how, because they've never done this.
Well, let me know how it goes.
I will. I can't wait for them to discuss Zach Taylor bringing back the ping pong tables, because that was the big news for this week's game, that he was going to, things were going to change because they brought back ping pong tables.
That was the big news that they had brought them back. They already brought them back leading into this week.
Yeah. And I'm just laughing because I don't know if you remember, that was a news story.
Oh, I remember it, yeah.
So it's like, look at these, when you can't coach, like we've talked about being a head coach, you got to do gimmicks, like bringing back ping pong tables, because you're not a good coach. Well, it seems like you and I are pretty much on the same wavelength as far as our 5 go-to teams, with both of us also saying the Chargers could sneak up.
I think with the Chargers, I think the Chargers have an incredible potential to fuck up the NFL playoffs. That's what I think the Chargers have. In terms of like, I think the Chargers have the ability to beat one of our 5, obviously it's only 2 of our top 5 power rankings are in the AFC. But I think they have the ability to beat either of those teams in a freak situation. And they'll factor in the playoffs that way. But I don't think they have the ability to run the table. Although I think we're not long before that they will have that potential.
Yeah.
I think that Harbaugh's just getting to change. Like, I don't believe in, like, I believe in the Chargers' ability to beat the Chiefs in a playoff game more than the Bills, because to beat the Bills, they got to go all the way to Buffalo in weather, etc. Whereas, like, I don't think Harbaugh's changed the culture enough there yet for them to be like, that's real. We can do that.
Do we have an update on the fake Chargers fan, Marianne Doe?
I'm assuming they've repurposed her and she's now like a fake, Lions fan or something. Like,
No, I actually looked at her Instagram. I looked her up the other day. Again, the term industry plant seems to be used a lot lately. She is definitely an industry plant. She's still on the Chargers, but I do find it interesting how you haven't heard a peep, not a single peep from her. The NFL has decided, this is where I do think things are decided, not fixing games, but maybe who we're going to give attention to. They have not given any attention to Marianne Doe this year. Did they just say, hey, we got a star coach now, a name recognition coach? We don't need to give fake.
Well, I think also, they were probably like, last year the whole internet was like, she's a fake fan. So they're like, well, that didn't go quite how we thought it would. And they're like, what happened? They're like, well, we planted a fake fan for the Chargers, and the internet immediately goes, she's a fake fan. So this didn't play out like we thought it would.
That's funny. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Neither of us follow college football.
No.
But obviously we've seen the news, and you probably, like me, didn't watch these games. We had, I believe it was 4 incidents of brawls or fights with flag planting.
I have such a hot take on this.
Okay.
What are the 4 incidents?
What did I see? So for sure, Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
Florida State. I believe North Carolina State, North Carolina. And I think there was one more. Okay, so we have at least 3. And they all ended in like fights. I guess the move now is you beat your rival. Those are all rival games. And you plant your flag over the other team's logo.
This trend is lame as fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty lame. I agree.
It's the lamest fucking thing ever. I don't even understand. Like, it was lame when Baker Mayfield did it, and that's 7 years ago now. But at least it was like a in the moment thing.
Real quick, Arizona State.
Yeah, I don't.
It's the last one.
Arizona State.
The 2 powerhouses for college football.
This flag thing is like it's almost the epitome of everything that's wrong with college football in a nutshell, which is like, you've convinced people that this is some sort of Revolutionary War style battle where it's Ohio versus Michigan for the claim of the land, but also 7 guys on Michigan played on Ohio State last year and transferred over via the portal. And 3 of them came from Boise. 7 of them came from the Idaho Vandals. 19 of them came from like none of this is real. None of this is real. This isn't a team full of kids from Ohio versus a team full of kids from Michigan. This is not real. The flags mean nothing. You're having a merch battle. It's so fun. No, Brano, you don't get it. This is what makes college football great. This is what makes you a loser fan. That you think this is cool. This is so fucking. People were pepper sprayed because you guys are like, are you playing Risk? What is this?
It's pretty lame.
We're
I
gonna
agree.
play it on their field.
On their logo.
Who gives a shit? Tear down the goalposts like fucking adults.
But also, if you just beat them, you just beat them. Like, what do you got to plant a flag? You just like you're Michigan, you're big, you're big rival. You come into the game 6-5. You're big underdogs. They have one loss. It's at their stadium. You just beat them. Why do you have to plant your flag? What does that do?
Because it's this weird Gen Z social media clout. It's all. They actually don't have any pride in the win. They want to do the thing.
Well, I think you're right. That's a good point. I definitely think that is true. This generation,
they don't want the Oscar. They want to give the speech.
Yeah, they don't care. Those kids at Michigan, especially with the NIL and just the zero loyalty that they have, which I understand, right? To these schools. It's not like in the past. I think you and I would both agree. There was more of a pride when you played at Michigan or Notre Dame. Right, there was a pride in the 80s that you were on those teams, the 90s, or Florida State, whatever it is. I don't think they have that anymore. It's just, where can I go to? This is the stepping stone to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. That's where the flag planting is even more. Let me be seen. Let this go viral.
Yeah.
It is so lame.
I have always been, in my adult life, a big concert goer. I know a lot of people that just like used to go to concerts, don't go anymore. I don't go to concerts as much as I used to, but I still go to a lot of concerts. The flag planting thing are the people that are there not enjoying the music, just getting their Instagram. They're just getting their Instagram content. It's if they don't post that they were there, they may as well have not gone. Meanwhile, I'm like, I've seen concerts before Instagram existed that changed my life. Like, you just beat, you essentially knocked your rival out of a top 2 ranking. And you're like, yo, snap a pic of me planting the flag.
Yeah.
This shit's going to do numbers on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's the lamest shit ever. And the people on either side who give a shit. Honestly, it's more cringe for the teams that are like defending their field. Why are you still just go to the locker room? You lost. Cool. Let the guy do the gritty on your logo. Like, it's embarrassing for them. Let them embarrass themselves. It's the exact same thing as the 11-man interception celebration. Guys, I am a nickel corner in the NFL who is trying to show my value to this team. And I have just intercepted a ball in an important game. I probably just got my next contract. Who all wants to act like we're in a canoe? It's fucking cringe, dude.
The celebrations are definitely out of control. We were talking about that during the game yesterday. And one of the guys sitting next to me made a great point. He goes, are you watching this? He goes, the Bengals are the most embarrassing defense I've ever seen for an entire season. And he goes, they're making Russell Wilson look like the best thing ever. And they make one play here and there. And the celebrating that these defenders do, and they get up and they're all dancing. It's like, dude, you giving up 35 points to a Russell Wilson-led offense. What do you like? Do you not have pride in yourself? Do you not see how much of a clown you look like? And that goes across the board, I think, in NFL now. All these guys. And I'm not an old school, neither of us are. I'm not an old school, oh, act like you've been there before. I love a good touchdown celebration. But if you stop a guy for 2 yards on a first down run, you don't have to go out there and do a simulated dance sesh.
Yeah.
And to me, you know what the flag planting is for me?
And it's also like when the guy catches a touchdown and he just power spikes it, I'm like, it's emotional. My favorite touchdown celebration at this point is throw the ball into the crowd. Just this angry fucking throw the ball into the crowd. All right, guys, listen. I know I'm the third string running back, and there's not a good chance that I score this week. But if I do, Brad, you're going to be the maypole, and then we're all going to we all hold hands, and then we dance around you. So because you're tall, you're going to stand real tall, and you can kind of spin. Then we're all going to hold hands. Now you guys know Ring Around the Rosie, right? Like, so we have to do it kind of dancey, hold my hands. Remember, we're small girls. It's spring. Flowers have just bloomed. We're dancing as if we're celebrating the spring. It's Ring Around the Rosie. You good? Everybody's good? Okay, let's practice it. I would be like, I quit this team, and all of you guys should kill yourself.
And to me, and I know we don't watch, I know people are going to disagree with this, but to me, if flag planting is a part of your game, you have a shitty product. That's just my take. You have a bad product if you have to bring in these things to make your game exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm so out on the college game, just in general, college sports. I'm just so out of it. Like I don't see myself being brought back in. And again, if the game's on in the background, cool. If it's a title game, cool. If I'm hanging out with buddies, whatever.
Yep.
But I think we both agree. Say what you want about the NFL, but they have made such a great product for TV. They really have. And I think that's why the NFL has really exceeded over all these years, is that they've made it into a good product for viewing. Just even like last night's game. Last night's game was a blowout, but for me as a fan of the sport, I'm going, well, this is fun to watch. They're in the snow. It's coming down. I got my computer open. I'm doing other things. It's good background noise. You know, you're looking at your fantasy stats. You're looking at which lines you covered. And again, they do ridiculous celebrations too, but the flag planting.
But I mean, I think, you know, at the end of the game where it went too far is when everybody was out in the field and they did the Jim Kelly, Steve Young handshake. When the Bills fans went and stripped Steve Young of his clothes and waved them around their heads. You know, because that was the thing in this long time rivalry, in this 90s Super Bowl rival. We haven't played since the 90s in the Super Bowl. The ripping around and the pouring of the Flutie flakes into the giant cereal bowl.
I mean, these coaches, I don't know if you saw some of these, like, I think it was Florida State. The coaches trying to prevent the flag planting, and it's like they're gang members defending their turf. Dude, just go to the locker room. You just lost. Just go to the locker room.
I'm at this point, the like people being college football fans, it almost offsets my chances of like being your friend. Like, I'm really into college football. Cool. I'm really into sex with women. I'm not going to be your friend.
Man.
I mean, I do a joke about it, and I know this might trigger you, but like, I do a joke now about, like, they said in the election, a big thing was all the people who loved the young white dudes who loved Elon Musk. It's a big part of the thing. And I was like, yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I was into drugs.
Why would that trigger me?
I was like, I can't imagine sitting around my New York City apartment post a night out at the bars and being like, guys, I'm really into Lee Iacocca. Are you with me? Like, to me, I'm like, you're a fucking dork. You're a fucking dork.
I think people, I think the billionaire thing, I think people have with social media, I think people have had more of a billionaire. Like they've always been things though. Like, what's his name? Steve Jobs. I always found interesting. And maybe
finding somebody interesting is different than being like, I'm a fan. Who does Steve Jobs like? I'm into like with Steve Jobs. I'm really into what he's doing.
But my point is like I read Steve Jobs' book.
I'm gonna get one of those fucking sweaters. I think I'm gonna get me a turtleneck.
But like you can call me a dork. Like I read Steve Jobs' book.
Sure. Okay. That's fine.
Like I'm curious about how you get from, and obviously I'm a big Apple guy, like how you get from there to there. But like, sure. No, and I agree. I think fanning, let me put it this way. I think what I call hero worshiping, I find bizarre whether you're an athlete, a politician, a celebrity, a billionaire. To me, I've said this many times, I find it bizarre to like hero worship another adult. Because to me, I think we make these people almost like gods from like a psychological standpoint or a social standpoint. And I think it's great that you like somebody that does something somebody who does something interesting is cool. But I don't think we should put anybody into a godlike sphere. And I think that's a logical stance, I think, on all these people. Like, dude, would I love to meet any of these great athletes? Of course. Would I love to see what they're like? Some of them, hang out with some of them? Yeah. But again, they're human at the end of the day. We all take shits. And mine have been disgusting since Thanksgiving, for the record. Just putting that out there. They've been smelly, and I have a daughter who likes to walk in and kind of hang out when I'm taking a shit, which is weird, but hey, you do you, girl.
Well, it's official. And it's a sad thing. But Thanksgiving weekend is officially over. I will be telling you all to follow me on @JoePrano on all social media, and I'll be going inside. I'll be putting on proper pants. I'll be going to fucking work on Monday. This is the worst. It's gotta be it's gotta be a top 5 worst day of the year. End of Thanksgiving weekend.
Monday morning.
Monday after Thanksgiving. Top 5 bad day of the year. Now, it might not crack your top 5 if you're a big Arizona State fan, because Hawaii and UCLA and Oregon State have planted their flag at your stadium this year. Because you had to deal with 2 teams from the SWAC. And their cavalry, and their cavalry, the guys coming through with the drum at the end. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, let's get out on that note. I gotta go hang a curtain rod. This is my life now. Gotta get a room in order for the second child.
When's that baby due?
February 3rd as of now.
All right, Super Bowl baby.
Yeah, it'll be before Super Bowl. So.
No, I know. Here's a question for you. Which team I want to do? Are your Lions, your Detroit Lions, are the Detroit Lions still an active playoff team when your baby arrives?
Well, that's a great question. No.
Oh, Lions fans, out of my mentions, getting Andy's.
Something inside me. I don't know. I have this weird feeling. No. But I'll tell you what, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, that will make a city like Cincinnati fans lose their mind, or like a Browns fan. Like, the other, to me, the three traditional dumpster fire organizations in the NFL are Bengals, Browns, Lions. You can maybe throw the Chargers in that. It's like if one of them gets it first, who would be the fifth? Real quick, would there be like who'd be the fifth? Chargers, Bengals, Browns, Lions. Who'd be the fifth?
I mean, well, this is not counting like the Jaguars.
Yeah. I was thinking more teams that have been around.
Jets. It's got to be the Jets.
Yeah. That's your Power Five.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's your Power Five of like teams that have been around forever.
It's always going to let you down.
I mean, I don't know. The Bills are interesting. They've been to a bunch. They never won.
Yeah.
Give us a ring, 310-359-8365. That's our hotline.
You can follow me on all social media at Joe Prano. Come see me in Montana in January. Come see me. Just go to joeprano.com for shows. Bunch of stuff coming up in and around Los Angeles. Got to go. Bye.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.